I've been doing some more and more research with OpenClaw and what's going on, and I think there's been some things I've been doing wrong, and I want to clarify in the video in terms of how I'm thinking of proceeding next and how I'm thinking of making this agent even better. So first things first, after just like looking online and what other people are doing and just kind of how people are looking at agents, is the first thing I feel as if I've been doing is treating this thing as just a sort of back and forth conversation versus it being truly something that is, say, agentic, and that can be a goal achieving machine. So rather than me giving it prompts, why don't I figure out a way how to give it goals? But before I figure out how to give it goals and so it knows what kind of goals to achieve, I think what's important here is to set up some sort of task list or something where it knows where to check periodically. And that was actually something one of my goals where it's like, hey, figure out how you can have a setup where it gives you some sort of report or it gives you some sort of info back on a weekly or some sort of frequent basis versus just it being dead in the ether while I'm going out and doing my thing. Because the whole point why people are buying Mac Minis and doing all this shit with the bot is so it can do things on its own without you having to be there. And I think that's where the true value proposition is versus how I've been currently enacting it out. So I think one of the first things I'm going to be doing is figuring out how I can basically create a sort of task list or something I can align the bot with. And then from there, figure out how maybe I can add a sort of mission control or somehow figure out how I can just improve it in other areas. I think the biggest one that's going to make a big difference for the whole e-commerce setup and everything I've been working on is some sort of task list and something where it feeds more tasks into it autonomously so it gets better and analyzes the data from anything going on in ads to anything going on in the store, and it's just like figuring shit out. I think that's going to be the big thing here that I'm going to start looking into. But I think first and very importantly, figure out how I can fix the foundation from the very beginning to then be able to be capable of doing this type of stuff, because right now it's not. It's mostly constrained and bottle capped by me as a person who is creating the two things here, the e-commerce specialized agent, and secondly actually the e-commerce store, which I'm trying to make it a proof of concept. So this is where I'm thinking of diving more deeper into today and just moving forward of how we can unconstrain myself and make it become truly autonomous and even better. Thing is, I want to be a bit careful in terms of how autonomous I'm making it be, because there's some training, some things that it's clearly it needs to kind of be in the know in terms of how I'm doing it, but at the same time, I'm open and willing to see and give this even a shot because you don't know, it might surprise me and give me something I don't even know about, you know what I mean? So that's the whole idea here. So we're gonna see what I get with this thing. All right, so what we did here was I provided it a goal and like the over like long-term goal. So in the beginning, we want to get to $100 a day, right? And I want to see if I can reverse prompt this thing. It can achieve its own goals and do its own thing. But at some point, we want to hit something way more ambitious, you know what I mean? And then really set for the moon here. So I'm trying to create a way where we can manage tasks inside of Obsidian. And at the same time, this thing's going to create it inside Obsidian. And then we'll be able to share it. And I'll kind of show you here like the way how it's working. So tasks I give it, tasks it gives me, or something it's blocked on, things that are in progress, things that are done or for review, and things of that nature. So hopefully it creates it. Right now, the very first thing we started on working. So I gave the prompt inside like a text file. I was just working back and forth with Claude, trying to figure out how I can actually manage this. Prompted it, sent it in a text file, and because the message is quite long, so Telegram's not gonna let me send it. So I have like a text file. So what we're gonna do here is it is going to go into a mobile audit on our product pages and suggest how we can improve them. So it's just something light, something small. I don't want it to go crazy. So we'll see what it does. Quick update. So now as we are reframing how we're going to be approaching and working with the bot, because I wanted to be a bit more autonomous and proactive in terms of how we're working together versus it just being me prompting it and telling it to do something versus it being somehow a proactive agent. And my goal this week, as I mentioned, I believe before, but the idea is this week I want to figure out how I can make this thing a bit more autonomous and proactive versus just me prompting it, waiting for it to get something done, review it, and then from there making a decision, which I think I'm using it wrong. Now, we created two concepts called tasks and goals. Task is going to be a sort of, I guess you can say, task board of pending tasks. Now, the only thing I'm not a fan of here is that this is in Obsidian and the layout honestly is not really too user friendly in my opinion. I think something better like a Kanban board or something of that nature would be easier to manage. So I may consider migrating somewhere else to manage that. Alternatively, we just may stick with here for now, but everything's just synced, so it's just very easy and consolidated in one area versus it being siloed in different areas, which is kind of annoying. And then the other thing is it created this thing called goals. Now, I'm not saying this is the final here, it's just the initial draft, so this is probably going to be changing, but we set some near-term goals, long-term objectives, and some of these metrics here are inaccurate because it didn't even verify the data, which is kind of a flag. But as you can see here, the idea is kind of becoming better where we're trying to give this thing goals and then tasks and then let it execute autonomously versus just waiting back and forth for a response when it can just do things on its own, which I think would be the biggest unlock. And actually, after I just prompted it, I don't know if you saw it in just a moment ago, but it just flipped the status. Now, as you can see here, we made $44 for the month, so that's roughly $6 a day. Hey, better than zero. But as you can see here, it updated the target and probably some other numbers here. So it pulled the data from our Facebook. It updated the products live on the site, so this is interesting. So as you can see here, it's like updating things in real time, which is pretty interesting. It updated its to-do list, and honestly, like I said, this is, oh wow. But yeah, I haven't used these charts in a minute on Obsidian. I've never really been a fan of them, but I guess they made some updates, so that's really nice. But it seems like it updated some metrics here, so it's a bit more accurate. And it's currently trying to increase the page speed on a few of these images we have on the site, so it increases load time. So this is all fully autonomous right now. So I'm actually curious if it's gonna actually do that and what the status of that's gonna be like. But this is actually interesting. So this is just something we are getting one step towards of having a fully autonomous agent managing and running the store. And that's the whole objective of why I started this project, this series. Hopefully we can at some point have a bot that can just straight up print money, you know what I mean? But I must admit, I don't have infinite runway to let this thing burn a crap ton of tokens and at the same time just do its own thing. So there is some urgency on my end to really make this shit work. Otherwise, I may have to pause it or reconsider what I'm working on. You know what I mean? So as much as I would love to work on this for a really long time, there's urgency on my end to really make this work. So I'm not trying to act here like I have infinite runway. You know what I mean? So everything really matters in terms of what I'm working on, what I'm prioritizing, and things of that nature. All right, currently where I'm at is I had to update some of the cron jobs. Now we have actual proper cron jobs. We have a daily brief now where it is reporting to me current metrics on the store, the ads, performance, and I updated some things to the bot where it's going to be more intelligent. It is going to spawn tasks. It has different tiers and levels to what kind of tasks and things it can perform. One thing that's pretty important in my opinion is I've worked with Claude and I strategized some ways how we can make this more autonomous. So not every task should be run, but as you remember in the task and the goals I set up before, it created these sorts of autonomy tiers where if these are tier one, where they're pretty much free, no risk, run it. Self-improve your skills, research online, find news, see what's happening right now because there's so much news and stuff happening every single day. Why don't we give it some sort of autonomy so it can learn how to improve itself, understand its data, build tables, understand its learnings, collect learnings, self-modify itself. So these are like some tier one things. Tier two things, maybe something where it needs my review, and then perhaps like say tier three things where it's something that requires more so of my approval. So money driven decisions, maybe talking with a customer near term, things of that nature. So we're giving it more sorts of autonomy and tiers of autonomy, how to run it. So I was able to basically prompt it to update its own agents.md and goals.md, which now gets injected into the AI on every run, so it understands its goals, its tasks on every single wake session and whatnot. So I think this thing's going to start cooking now and actually start actually feeling like an employee versus how it was before. All right, we are cooking. I updated the agent to do its own thing, have some tasks, created one where it can simply go out and research its own creatives, performance, things we've launched so far, and versus how we've currently been launching ads. It basically went on a deliverable research to understand how it can improve its copywriting skill and its ability to set up the ads. So now that it understands this, it's like, hey, this is how we're currently setting up ads. Weak agitation, not following this copywriting format called PAS to create better converting ads with the copy. And it presented some solutions how we can improve it. Now, I'm probably not going to implement this, but what I am going to talk with the bot to be like, yo, for future product ads that we create, let's follow this format. You see what I mean? And I'm just going to read through this, see how it's doing or what is suggested. I mean, I was reading some of these here, and I see it also recommends some other things here. Visual optimization, 85%. Scroll with sound off. Bold text overlays are non-negotiable. That's what it says because we're doing static images. We're not doing video generation. I think that's just going to be too cost. Uh, it's just going to be too costly for now with everything I'm running and operating. I think image ads are going to be the best way to go about it. Pick preferred angle for the product. Check current image overlays. So it's asking me what I can do next. So yeah, now it's better because now it is checking things and it has tasks to do. And complete these first. Quick wins. So there you go. There's like the task. It did the research. Should probably also add into the updated to add like a time here so I know. But yeah, I think it's properly using it now. So now we have this bot where we're pretty much adding things into to-do lists. And I know I'm aware this isn't the most user-friendly way to do it in Obsidian. I'm just not really a fan. But it gives us something to work with and to make it better over time. I think another big thing for making this thing fully autonomous is by understanding the whole idea behind how these cron jobs and heartbeats work. And I think it's mainly here the trick is behind cron jobs because I wanted to research more on X how people are making these things feel really autonomous and sentient to their workflows. And after just digging and doing some research, it's mostly just leveraging the cron job frequencies. Some people are running these things every hour, every few hours, or they're running it through daytime hours to mimic, say, actual work hours. Some people are maybe doing light checks. So right now what I did was I prompted the bot in a instructions file where it can pretty much update its working relationship with me. So before it was every 4 hours, but I felt and thought to myself, that just doesn't make sense because if it can execute or respond, say, 1, 2, 3 agents, sub agents in parallel with itself, I don't feel as if that's getting a lot of work done. I think you can get a lot more work done if it's spawning itself every 1 to 2 hours. I'm gonna test this just for today to see how it spawns itself and pretty much creates work and things for it to do. But in the meantime, that's just some research I was able to find. And a big one I think I got that I am going to wait for tomorrow is now the daily reporting and then also the weekly reporting for constraints, things it's learned, where it sucks, how can it improve itself. And now we're really trying to make this thing more fully autonomous and work with us like a actual agent and thinking companion, someone that we have on the team, you know what I mean, versus someone who we're just prompting back and forth. Because I was wondering, why is my relationship with this thing very back and forth? I send something to it, it does it, it completes it, it comes back, and it's the same thing here. And I think the real unlock here is going to be if you can set these cron jobs so it does things, it has a task board, it has a goal and objective, it understands what to do or can find things to do, report back to me, and just get better with itself over time. And that kind of mimics the whole idea behind sentience and total agency. But I mean, this is kind of the direction everything's heading towards. So we're just trying to build systems and processes for it to work with and get better with it over time. So I think this is some a interesting insight I personally got, and I would like to see how much better this thing gets through time with just these sorts of flows. So we're really going to find out by the end of the week if this is all bogus or if it actually gets better. No, as you can see here from a quick update from the bot, it did set some cron jobs. So I have a daytime cycle where it's working primarily through daytime hours, every 2 hour interval. We have an overnight check for something light for ads. We're going to see how that's going to go. We have a daily brief mentioning a few things, what it's got to do, refresh some tokens, check on things, how the campaigns are performing, then a weekly review. I'm pretty excited because now we finally got cron jobs up and into the bot, and it's only just going to get better from here, right, if we actually use it. So we're just slowly updating the skills, getting better with this thing, and overall really getting a feel and taste for what agents can really do for you in your business or even just personal life in this case, right? And it just identified a high value task it can work on. And here it spawned a competitor research agent. I'm kind of curious to see what kind of deliverable it's going to bring for us, and we'll just go from there. But so far, it's creating a goal for itself, what it can do, and yeah, that's what it identified as something high leverage. So we'll see what this thing can do. And I think right now what it's doing is it's studying the ads for other dog stores. Now earlier we had a fail in terms of the cron job. I thought this was going to be the first cron job where it's going to work and it's going to do its thing and it's going to start executing in an isolated environment, but I guess it just read it as a sort of reminder. And by the way, this would convert to 12 p.m. PST, and it was a total flop. It was literally just a reminder and it didn't do anything. It's kind of like the BS thing I'm running into right now. It's kind of a headache, but I think we just have to fix the prompt here, or just maybe the model itself. I've really been just running on Kimi 2.5 a little over a week now, and yeah, that's just kind of what I'm dealing with right now. It's kind of annoying, but still trying to figure out the whole thing. I am feeling though some more sense of autonomy and just better back and forth dynamics, but not exactly to the point where it's given me this sort of crazy enlightenment, you know what I mean? So still working on that. Currently where we are with everything is just I've created pretty much the autonomous cron jobs, so the AI pretty much knows what to work on. And my only thing about that is all I really have to do is patient and wait. So we got a ad campaign set up for tomorrow, and I think I'm gonna revise the product research strategy so it's more data driven and we have something better. Because I mean, unless you're using browser or some sort of computer use for the agent, I'm not sure if its current capability is gonna find the best products, because that's how my methodology was working. So I'm gonna look more thoroughly into that and refine it, because rather than just blindly testing a bunch of products, I think if we refine the agent, because I don't want to be spending, say, a bunch of money every single week on shit products. And don't get me wrong, I found something good and maybe it was just a one and done the other day when I got some sales, but I mean, the rest of the products, the research, it feels as if it's a constraint, and quite honestly, they're quite garbage, the products. So right now, I'm going to stick to probably testing at about $20 a day for one product at a time. And in the meantime, I'm going to be finding other areas of the agent to optimize, make it more intelligent, and make it more equipped to be able to self-iterate, improve on its methodologies, its skills, and things of that nature to become better. So some skills and things that it was researching today, and I got it to update its skill is like ad copy frameworks for creating ads, being able to research deliverables, or I'm sorry, being able to research competitors, things of that nature, and what to do with all this research, things like that. And right now, I just have to be patient, and at the same time, it's really just making the bot better because I mean, I really started this whole entire thing because I have to make the agent work, but at the same time, I have to at the same time figure out how to make this store work. You know what I mean? So we don't have any sort of store market fit yet with what we're selling and advertising, which is also another problem. So there's two big problems I'm trying to solve here. And I think honestly with AI we can solve it, but I'm just trying to be a bit more conservative with the ad spend, especially since some of these costs are quite high. You know, I mean some quite insanely high CPMs for just even testing. It's kind of ridiculous. But that's kind of where I'm at right now.